Aroja, the European champion, Spain, one of the favorite, if not the number one favorite alongside France, has officially kicked off the 2026 FIFA World Cup, which they played against the third smallest country to ever participate in a FIFA World Cup competition. We know Curacao is the smallest, Iceland, and then Cape Verde. And the result had stunned a lot of people. I will explain to you why it shouldn't be surprising, because I'm African, I watch the AFCON every time. And we had other games. We had Egypt, the Pharaoh. They took on Belgium. The game ended 1-1. And we had Uruguay versus Saudi Arabia 2-2. That is the oil monarch against the crazy ball of Marcelo Bielsa. It was interesting to watch. And the most anticipated game between Iran and New Zealand. As you may know, Iran are officially in an open war with the United States and Israel. And people was waiting to see how the United States going to welcome and how the organization going to take care of the Iranian player and how the atmosphere going to be on the field in Los Angeles. This is the first time that two countries that are fighting each other, one of the other country will be going to the other country compete for a trophy. So it was a very interesting game to watch, and everyone was watching it for different reasons. So ladies and gentlemen, this is your 2026 FIFA World Cup Day 5 match review. Therefore, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the world of soccer. If you're not allowed to subscribe, make sure to subscribe, like, and share this with your friend. Without wasting any time, we're going to start with the shock of the day. Because the result shocked a lot of people, but I think a lot of African wasn't shocked, because when you watch how Spain play and how African team play, you have to wake up early to beat an African team. I know, Tunisia lost 5-1 to Sweden, but we also the result. The coach got fired the next day or the same day. The dude got fired. He spent more time on the plane coming to the US than coaching his team during the World Cup, right? So in Africa, the countries that are competing, this year we have 10 countries. These guys are not competing. They are not representing only their country. They're representing their region. They're representing 1.4 or 1.5 billion of people. They're representing 54 countries. I know there's a rivalry between some countries, but when it's a World Cup year, everyone support everyone. Except I don't know what happened with the South African and the other country, because that was crazy. Nobody was supporting them, but we're going to try to analyze that later. But coming back to this game, Spain had their ball as usual, because Spain is a team that really dominate anyone really. There's not a team in this world that can compete position-wise against them. Maybe Germany, maybe. Even that is maybe. But it is in their tradition to dominate every single minute of the game. And they had more than 700 passes, and the game ended 0-0. And the reason is a Cape Verde goalie, Visiona. I think his name is Visiona. The dude is 40 years old. He came into this World Cup with 50,000 followers on his Instagram. And at the end of the game, the dude he still gained more followers, because the last time I checked, he had more than 2 million followers. An impressive growth of the pitch, because he had a fantastic game on the pitch. He had more than 7 or 8 saves or 9 saves. But if you're watching the game, those saves was like, okay, 3 or 4 of them was really legitimate, but the other was like, okay, it was a missed shot, but when he's on target, right? And he had a great game, and he's telling his story, and he was crying, man, after the game, because that 0-0 felt like a win for Cape Verde. Like I told you, they are the third smallest country to participate in this competition, and everyone was predicting them to get beaten by 5-0, 7-0, something like Curacao. That's what I was telling people. African country, we can lose. I'm not saying we're going to win the World Cup, but to beat us, you have to wake up really early. You have to work for those points. It's not like Curacao, they come in, they just take seven goals against Germany and then they go home peacefully, No, in Africa, that doesn't happen. We lose 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, but 7? Now that's crazy. When that happened, we fired the coach that time, at that day, and the player may go to the military camp. That's a joke though. But overall, when you're watching the game, you saw Ferran Torres, Pedri, Rodri, Gavi, everyone, like even Lamine Yamal came on in the second half, which is good to see because he was injured, he didn't start the game. And Nico Williams too, he had like 7 to 10 minutes to play. So overall, I mean, it's a 0-0. It's not like the end of the world for Spain, but it's a huge result for Cape Verde, because like I said, Cape Verde is a really good team. In the AFCON, when you see them play, they always play seriously, and it's hard to beat them. It's not a team that get humiliated, you know. During an AFCON, it's hard to see a team lose 3 or 4-0. It's rare to see it. So like when I saw Tunisia lose or 5-1, I was surprised because Tunisia has the reputation being the boringest team to play against, because they don't concede goal, they don't score a lot of goals. So 5-1, I was surprised. But there's a lot of corruption in the Tunisian football, and even the selection, the coach, there is a rumor that the coach didn't select the player and he was imposed some player, and he wanted to bring some player, they didn't let him do so, right? So overall, I would just say, okay, Spain, they just, this doesn't change anything about their status in the World Cup. It's just like, okay, they just drop a point against the third smallest country in the world, right? And Germany won't be tell that because Germany say, yo, we beat them 7-1, You couldn't do that. So overall, 0-0 I think is a fair result, because it was like really all the Cape Verdean players were in their last 18 defending for their life, which, I understand, because they were playing with what they have. So it's just normal to play what you have against the best team in the world at the moment, right? So that being said, we're gonna just move on to the next game, because Iran New Zealand was really interesting, because like I said, there is a war between Iran and the United States. So having that game played in Los Angeles, the expectation was like, okay, what's gonna happen? Would the fan would be booing the Iranian national anthem, which they did. They booed the national anthem. There were protests outside the stadium. The Iranian diaspora that are living here, who are against the regime back home, they were protesting. But once the game started, it felt like Iran had more fun on the pitch than New Zealand is. I know New Zealand, this is their first World Cup too. The only player we know they really, like the player I know is Chris Wood. We all know him. He was in at Forest and Burnley, and he had assists. The number 11 scored the 2 goal, 2 beautiful goal. Let's be honest, the 4 goal that we saw in that game they all were good, because even the Iranian equalizer, the first equalizer, it was a beautiful goal from a guy who is 36 years old. He created most of the chances. He scored the first goal and assisted the second goal, the equalizer, because New Zealand scored the second goal and the Iranian equalizer. Overall, Iran should have won this game because they dominated the game clearly. If you watch the game, they had the better chances. They look like they are the bigger team in that competition, which they are. Iran is one of the biggest team in Asia. So like when they play against New Zealand, it's not like they're playing Australia or South Korea. No, it's just like, okay, Iran was the favorite, but it's a good point for New Zealand. First World Cup, first point, which is great. Which is fantastic. And of course, like, we're gonna just move on to the next game, because that game was just political. It's most of political. Iran couldn't take the 3 point, but they're gonna be playing the next game. We're gonna see what they're gonna do, right? And the next game was Belgium against Egypt, another African team. Like I said, only one African team lost so far, but only one won too. Only Ivory Coast won so far. Tomorrow we're gonna see Algeria playing. Algeria, Senegal will be starting the World Cup. We'll see what they're gonna do with their opponent. All right. But overall, it was a good game. I liked how Egypt played. Mohamed Salah had his assist. It was a beautiful goal from Ashur. There's assist from Mo Salah, because this is the Mo Salah last World Cup. Probably he's 36 years old, so I don't think he's gonna be here when he's turned 40. But overall, it was a good game to watch. The Egyptian, they scored a goal and then they stopped playing like they usually do. If you watch the AFCON, that's how Egypt do. The North African country, like when they score on you, you're dead, bro. Like they're gonna defend for their life. But that's what they try to do. If it wasn't that own goal, they would probably win the game, because Lukaku came on his first incursion into the last 16, he pushed the defender to push the ball inside. So it was like, okay, 1-1, everyone, Belgium is not happy, but Egypt is happy. Egypt never won a single game in a World Cup tournament, so it was a good result for them, right? So overall, we're gonna just say, okay, this is good, because Belgium, they're gonna qualify, right? They're gonna qualify. We're gonna just see what Egypt gonna do against Iran and New Zealand, because that's their next game. And the last game of the night was between Uruguay and Saudi Arabia. The oil kingdom against the crazy ball of Marcelo Bielsa ball. It was interesting to watch. The Saudi, you can clearly see that they know what they're doing. They didn't like suffer throughout the game. The first half was really 50-50, and the second half, because they scored first, and so Uruguay had to come up with some solution in the second half if they wanted to equalize, which they did. They equalized the game. Araujo equalized it, and it ended 1-1. I mean, overall, tactically, it was